You're now watching a clip from the Inspired by show. You can watch the full episode on our YouTube channel or listen on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to head over there, leave us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed it, and follow the show. I opened up very openly to you a little while ago about a type of abusive relationship I was involved in. Not physical abuse, thank God, and it wasn't a romantic relationship. It was a different type of relationship, and I had no idea that it was even the case, and it was to do with narcissism. And it was only when I opened up to you to talk about it, you said, Chloe, that's not right, and you really helped me understand it. And one of the things you've always said to me is that, unfortunately, when you've been in one situation of abuse, and by the way, for full transparency, this could be physical, emotional, sexual, like you mentioned, we do actually then attract more of it.
Yeah.
What experience have you had of that?
Well, it's just, I think probably almost every relationship I've had romantically, almost romantically, and a few, and in work as well, and in music for sure. And what I've come to learn through lots of work is that it's because it's what we're familiar with. Our brains crave familiarity, whether it's good for us or very, very unhealthy. And I saw my mum go through a lot of abuse as well, and it wasn't really physical, but there were things going on as a child where I would be going, that's not right. Why are they doing that? You know, and it was mainly, I think, probably mainly financial, but then with any type of abuse starts with emotional abuse. And there was a time in my life, probably, you know, my late teens, early 20s, where I copied a lot of my mum's behaviour because it would make people feel sorry for me. Sounds really, really weird and a bit controlling, but it would make people feel sorry for me, and then they would become my friends. So toxic, so unhealthy. I've never really spoken about this before, but yeah, very, very unhealthy. But it took for me to start believing in myself as a singer to realize who I was and what I can bring to the world. And I think also coming across as very confident, very out there, knowing what I want, I think that attracts people who want a bit of a challenge. You know, I'd always attract guys who say, oh, you're such a strong woman, I love it. And then, you know, 2 years later, I'm a shell of a person, you know, so it's very, very complex.
I find it fascinating, though, that you had the urge to understand it, because that's something that we've both bonded on and related to, is that whenever we've experienced bad things, we've gone, well, what can I learn from that? And put the mirror up and gone, well, how did I attract that? And that's a very hard thing to look at, you know? Especially like you say, because then you look back and you go, that's quite dysfunctional, that's quite toxic, but we didn't know any different.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard for that. And we will talk a little bit more about that. Now, you've also talked to me before about this whole generational piece, and that sometimes we attract these things and it's not actually our fault. So how did that play out for you, and how did you find that out?
Goodness me. I think it was just always at the back of my mind, because my mum, because of what had happened to my mum, she was very, very open about not letting people touch your body, but she didn't really talk about the other stuff. And maybe she didn't understand, maybe she didn't know herself. But it was always in the back of my mind that, trigger warning again, my granddad was a paedophile and had abused her and possibly other siblings. We don't actually really know. And I'm not sure if that became part of my identity of, you know, that's what I come from, because everyone wants to talk about it. It's disgusting. This is disgusting. It's disgusting. Oh, the pedo this, pedo that, and say it as it just comes out of people, pedo. But then when you say, actually, that's part of my family history, people don't want to know. You shouldn't say that. And I'm like, you've just been talking about pedos for the past half an hour. Why shouldn't I talk about it? Why? What is it? It's because it's so close, and it's such a foreign thing, just such a vile thing that most people in the world are never going to do, but a lot of people experience. And it's, even though we've had Jimmy Savile, Rolf Harris, all of that U-Tree business, people still don't really talk about it. I think I've kind of gone off on a tangent, but I think that, coming back to generational, I think that's, I don't want to say it's ingrained. A lot of people say, you know, it's ingrained. Well, that means we're never going to stop the cycle. And that's a very dangerous thing. So how ingrained is it? I think it just became part of my identity, but now I want to talk about it because it doesn't have to be. And it doesn't have to be anyone else's. You know, people say they were abused and they're never going to get over it. You know, I've been sexually abused. I've gotten over it. It's there. It was difficult. It was horrible, but it's not going to mar the rest of my life. I'm not going to let that person ruin the rest of my life. How dare they? No.
Wow. It's so inspiring when you talk about it. Honestly, I get shivers every time because I just think this is what needs to be talked about. And I know you did say, yeah, you went off on a tangent, but that's a beautiful tangent to get to because for me, I see people all the time. And I'm so fortunate to speak to people like yourself and loads of other incredible, inspiring people. And everyone's got this story. And it's almost like, almost a shame that comes with it.
Yeah.
It's like, the bigger my brand, I can't talk about that sort of stuff. I can't talk about that. Or worse, my dad did that, my granddad did that, and that then defines me. And that's not true because we can break the cycle. We can actually say, do you know what? That is what they did, and I'm going to draw a line under it.
Yeah.